Alright, I'm not entirely sure where I left off with this. So, let me recap here because as you can see, we got the car back. And I mean, I'm so stoked that it's back. Awesome, awesome, awesome. However, there are a few issues. None of which are Boost Logic's fault. It's just project car life, guys. This is what you get when you have a project car. So let me kind of recap what has happened over the past 5 days. Alright, so basically if you've been following the channel, you knew, and I've probably shown you this, the car had to go back to Boost Logic because it had an oil leak and we couldn't tell if it was oil pan gasket or rear main seal, and it also looked like there was some trans fluid. At first you couldn't really see if it was trans fluid or not, but as it got worse you could definitely tell there was a transmission fluid leak. So Boost Logic, when Roman got back from Germany where he was tuning some GTRs, first thing he did, he got back, really nice of him, he sent a tow truck over here, had this car towed over to Boost Logic free of charge. Before I get into it, they fixed every issue free of charge. So hats off to them because they took care of it above and beyond. So awesome, awesome service there. Got it over to Boost Logic, took the transmission off. It ended up being the output shaft seal. Something had happened with the output shaft seal which was causing it to leak. That did not cause the transmission to lose 5th and 6th gear. There are a couple different factors that could have caused that. We're not entirely sure what like the actual cause was, and I didn't really show this in the videos, but I bought another 6-speed transmission from a local guy here in Austin just to have it because I figured they wouldn't be able to fix that old transmission. So I bought a 6-speed trans. That's what's in the car now. They put the new output shaft seal on the 6-speed trans that I bought. They also put new throwout bearing, new guide tube, new pivot pin, things like that in this. Still has light and flywheel, still has the upgraded Sachs clutch. Put the transmission back, well, so they fixed the transmission, fixed the issue. They diagnosed the oil leak from the S54 was the oil pan gasket. So to fix that, you have to actually drop the front subframe. They did that, dropped the front subframe, fixed the oil pan gasket, got that taken care of. So that was good. The only issue we're having now, which is kind of a mystery, is the fuel. This is something that I think I've kind of talked about. I am basically getting roughly 60 to 70 miles on one tank of gas. And when I say one tank, the fuel gauge goes from full to empty in about 60 to 70 miles. Now that's not one tank though. We think what's happening is one of the fuel senders is probably broken, probably old. Maybe it's a fuel sender issue because I can still go past that. Yesterday it was on E and the light was on and it was below the needle and I was still able to get to the gas station. So something weird is happening there. I'm not sure if that is from it's something to do with the fuel pump that we installed or if it's a car that has 233,000 miles. That's another one of those project car life things. It's, you know, I just ordered more parts for this. I ordered a front skid plate, skid pan, you know, to protect the oil cooler for the Zionsville radiator oil cooler setup that I have. You order aftermarket parts and then you order maintenance parts because the motor I have has 104,000 miles. The car has 233,000 miles. I mean, issues like this just happen with a project car. You have to understand that. Not only are you working on something that you're always buying parts for, but maintenance items will continue to come up. Also, something that happened, again, no fault of anyone's. Again, this motor has 104 on it, the S54 that was just swapped in there. We did the update items I needed to, besides the Vanos, but we'll get to that later. And I was at the gas station and the starter, it sounded like the starter was going out. I tried to start it, it would just tick, the battery's fine, then it fired up. So I have a new starter on order that I'm probably going to install in this video because I want that to be fixed. But I mean, that's just, it's project car life. So we have it back, it's in running order, everything works, there's no oil leaks, everything looks good. I am slightly rubbing in the rear, so kind of on today's to-do list, I want to try and get the old starter out. I kind of want to diagnose if it's a starter or the starter relay, but I don't have a voltmeter, so I don't know if I'll be able to. I don't think I have a voltmeter, but that's kind of what's on the to-do list today. The car is back, it is running, we could go beat on it, but for right now, I don't want to get somewhere and not be able to start the car. So again, I have a starter on order. It should be here around noon, which gives me like an hour and a half to take the old starter out. From the looks of it, it shouldn't be hard. Take off the air box, then you have access to the starter, so it's really not going to be that difficult, fingers crossed. So anyway, let's jump into this. Let me get a look at it and see what we got on our plate today to remove this starter, so I can kind of get back in the flow of actually having fun with this thing. All right, boys, so Project Car Life update. The starter on the S54 is kind of back there. It's under this, so I would have to take this off. Overall, it's not a big deal. Take off the intake manifold, take all of these off, disconnect that hose right there, remove this. Then I should have pretty good access to the starter, which is back there, connects to the transmission. So not a big deal. However, like I said earlier, I opened up the garage and smelled fuel pretty pungently. If I didn't say that, yeah, I smelled it. It was very pungent. Crawled underneath the vehicle, and let me see if I can show you this. So this, I don't know if you can see that very clearly, but that's all fuel. And it goes up and up there, which is not good. So then I took out the rear seat and I found this. There we go. That is a puddle of fuel. It's all around that and it's in there. Yeah. What are you gonna do, man? So what started off as just replacing the starter, now something's wrong with the fuel tank seal. I have no idea, to be honest. The other side looks fine. I haven't pulled the cover on it, but inspecting from the bottom side, it doesn't look like anything's leaking. So I'm gonna get some rags, I'm gonna soak all that up, clean it up, and then figure out where to go from here, because I still don't have the starter. Yeah, I mean, project cars. Doing things on old cars like this lead to other issues. They just do. When you pull something off of a car that has 233,000 miles and is 25 years old, and it breaks a seal for the first time, odds are that seal's probably going to need to be replaced. If they don't replace it, it leads to something like this. Maybe they did replace it and something went wrong. I have no idea. I haven't really diagnosed it yet, but first thing I want to do is soak up all that fuel because it smells bad in here. Alright, now that the air box is removed, you can see the starter is just right here. And there's one bolt back, where is it? Back here it looks like, which you can't see, and then another one down there somewhere. Doesn't look like it should be too bad to take off. Alright boys, so the old starter is out. There's the new starter I'm going to be putting in. Okay, so this isn't too difficult of a job if you have the E36 sockets. If you have the E36 sockets, it's not a big deal at all. It's a little hard to get to where the starter is actually mounted, but again, that's just one of those things. Kind of a pain in the butt, but not really. But again, it's Project Car Life, boys. It is what it is. This is what you sign up for when you get a 23-year-old car. Again, this motor has 104,000 miles on it. Its starter was bound to go. It's one of those things you don't really worry about until it happens, and then it happens. It's not anyone's fault that it happened. It just starter, it's a maintenance thing. So gonna get this fixed. Still have fuel leaking from the driver's side fuel tank. It's really weird. I don't know what it is, so I'm not gonna be driving it once I get this done. I have to figure that out. I'll update that in another video, but let's wrap this up because I'm getting tired. It's been a long day and I've had to make like 4 trips to the parts store. And all right, boys, if you can't already tell, it's a new day. So, wrapped up the starter install. Overall, it's not too bad. You need some E-Torx wrenches, which everyone talks about. You need E-Torx in order to get the 2 bolts that hold in the starter out. They're kind of pain in the butt to reach. Use some elbow grease, use some time, and you'll get them. It's not a big deal. But here's the thing, the car is waiting to go back to Boost Logic. I mentioned this a few times in the video. It has that fuel leak. I don't know much about fuel systems. I can tell you where the leak is coming from. It's coming from the driver's side fuel tank up above. And I believe that's the sender unit or possibly the gasket underneath, but I believe the sender unit itself, the top of it, looks like it has a hairline crack. And I think that's where it's coming from. Now I can't be sure. I reached out to Roman because I had him diagnose the fuel issue. With that being said, Roman has said, you know, we touched the fuel tanks last. It wasn't leaking when you brought it to us. Ship it back here. We got a tow truck en route. Ship it back to me. I'll look at it and get it working properly. So, dude, again, hats off to him and Boost Logic. They're really going above and beyond to take care of this. You know, something like I've said in this video a couple times, when you get a project car like this, guys, it's a 25-year-old car. Things like this happen. You know, is it Boost Logic's fault that the fuel tank is now leaking? Probably not. Did they check the fuel tank to see if it was leaking or if something was wrong with the fuel sender? Yes. But when they undid that cap up top, it's a 25-year-old gasket. Maybe that's all it took for it to go bad. I don't really hold that as Boost Logic's fault. It's awesome that he's willing to make it right for me. But guys, if you're doing work on your own like this and you're expecting to just replace a fuel pump because you're upgrading the engine, you're slapping a supercharger, you're doing whatever, you have to be prepared for things like this because all it takes is loosening one thing and the gasket or the seal that was under there is probably going to be toast. So when you talk about project car life and 25-year-old cars, know that this is a reality. If you're new to the channel, guys, smash that subscribe button. As soon as this thing is back and running, we're gonna have fun with it. It's just every time I get it back, it's not running properly. So fingers crossed, this shouldn't be a complicated fix. This should be an easy fix. It shouldn't take too long, but I mean, I'm not gonna go beat on the car when it's got a massive fuel leak. I've gone through a lot of fuel. It was filling up that sender cap within about 2 hours, just a puddle of fuel, and that's just a lot. So I'm not gonna go beat on it with something like that happening. But as soon as this car is back, we're going to get everything we can out of this car. It's going to be amazing. So smash that subscribe if you're new to the channel, guys. I really appreciate the support. I appreciate all the new subs. And as soon as this thing is back and ready to go, it's gonna be epic. So I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.